Welcome back to the Anything Goes with Jackson Neill podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, my interview is with hip-hop artist Grieves. I had him back on the show about 2 years or so ago. Today, bringing him back on for a very, very cool interview I did with him backstage at his Philadelphia show. Remember, you can listen to this on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, or even JacksonNeillPodcasts.com, the hub for all of my podcasts. From now on, the sports, the music, anything goes, all those podcasts located on JacksonNeillPodcasts.com. And this is a video interview today. So if you are on one of those audio platforms, click the link down in the description to go over to JacksonNeillPodcasts.com so you can see the in-person interview with this, because Grieves is a really, really interesting guy, and you definitely don't want to miss out on the visuals. So far in 2019, Grieves has already released several songs. At the time of recording this podcast, he had released Beethoven and I'll Be Better, so we talked about both of those tracks, two tracks that I'm really, really interested in, especially the video for I'll Be Better. If you haven't seen the video, definitely check it out after this interview, because it's a really, really, really cool one. Just his mindset going into this year, how this current tour has been, and all of that great stuff. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Grieves. So just like, how's this tour going?
Man, this tour's been badass. It's like, I haven't really opened up in a while. Like, I haven't done like a sport tour in a long time. Like, when we first started, we were doing all those atmosphere tours, and then we were like constantly trying to find like a support tour that stepped outside of the atmosphere Rhymesayers realm, that would be different for us in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And we ended up doing the Warped Tour in 2011.
Okay.
Which is roughly how I know Watsky, because he did the year after us in 2012, I think. And we just kind of always stayed in touch. And since then, I think I did a tour with a group that I met on Warped Tour called Pepper, and they're kind of like a punk reggae group from Hawaii.
Okay.
And then I just haven't done anything other than those. And then he reached out to me like 2 months ago and was like, hey, we're about to drop this complaint tour thing on these people. Would you want to go? Really? And I was like, yeah. And then I like hit up management and I was like, we're about to get an offer in. They're like, we just got an offer in. Like, I don't know if we can do it. And I was like, just make it happen. Like, I don't care what it is, just make it happen. And I'm so glad that we took those, risks, because this has been a beautiful fucking experience. Can I say fucking?
You can say fucking, you can
fucking.
Say bitch,
all right, cool.
Shit, anything you want to say.
All right, this has been a fucking beautiful experience because he has fans like Atmosphere has fans. Mm-hmm. He has fans that are solely loyal to him, and sometimes I notice on those Atmosphere tours that they have fans that don't really listen to hip-hop, that just listen to Atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And I'm noticing that with his fans, is they don't listen to hip-hop, they listen to Watsky.
Yeah.
And that's so valuable because I've been able to take what I do and something they would never look at. They would never look me up. Because they don't care, because they don't listen to hip-hop. And I'm able to bring, my personality and my music to this stage and kind of spoon-feed it to them on this tour. And it's been fucking great. Like, I've gotten 1,000 followers on Instagram alone just in the not even 2 weeks that I'm out here. Like, it's been growing exponentially. I've noticed a shift in the relationships in my DMs. Like, normally it's like some sketchy shit or like weird people trying to give me beats or like titties and stuff like that. And now it's like, hey, can I see your set list? Which I will do. I just don't want to get my set list out right now because I'm on tour and I don't want, our hardcore fans to know what we're going to play. I want it to be a surprise for them.
Yeah, it was like
so I will release it, and I'm getting these new like really sweet like DMs that are like, I never heard of you before, but I listened to you. You got a lifelong fan, and I never get shit like that. Awesome. And I've been doing this for a long time, and we've had our success and everything like that. But this just, I feel like I'm doing something new, and at this point in my career, that feels fucking good.
Definitely. I mean, everything you're saying right there, because when I saw like you guys announce this tour, even me, like just the rollout for it, how close you guys, you and Watsky seem to be, it just felt different. It just felt like this is such a more organic thing than what you normally see with a normal tour rollout or some of those things.
Yeah.
And like what you said there, when you have fans who legitimately like you, seeing you as an opener, who might not have listened to you, isn't that the point of opening? to get in front of new faces, new people, not just
100%.
Same faces all the time.
Yeah, and that's why we try to do. I mean, I did a run with T-Pain too.
Okay.
I left him out of there. I just kind of spaced it. It was quick. It was like a 16, 17-day tour in the middle of winter. It was him and the Gym Class Heroes, and that was the same thing. Like, and we got hated on when we joined that tour, not by the people at the shows, but we got hated on by our fans that were like, "Oh, you're gonna go on T-Pain tour? You trying to sell out?" And it's like, no, you motherfucker. Like, the reason why I'm going on this tour is because those kids might only know who T-Pain is because the only access that they have to the outside world is the radio and shit like that. Mm-hmm. This was a while ago. And the internet and shit like that. But that doesn't mean that they're going to find rhyme sayers and they'd be like, well, that's our thing. It's like, yeah, but fuck you, it's not. It's our thing.
Yeah.
And we present that to you. And if those kids find something that they like during that T-Pain show and it's our set, then they deserve to have that in their lives. And like that's why I'm there. Like, I'm trying to show this to other people. I'm trying to make this spread and do shit. Of course there's benefits in it for me, like financially and shit like that, but like that, we didn't get paid shit to go on that tour. So if we made new fans on that tour, then we built, you know, a bigger fan base, which is better for me in the long run. And we still have people that come through. It's like, I saw you on the T-Pain tour.
Really?
And you're like, okay.
Well, I mean, sometimes it has that effect for you, and I mean, I'm glad to hear it did, because, like you said, even though you might not get paid as much on that tour, having a lifelong fan, like you said, reach out in your DMs, over time that becomes so much more valuable.
It's way more valuable than, you know, whatever that day of show money is.
Exactly.
And you're able to negotiate money so that things can work, right? But you can't negotiate more or less fans.
Yeah, it just kind of has to happen organically.
Yeah.
So far this year you've released 2 singles. I want to touch on Beethoven first. Just what was the inspiration behind that track?
I mean, honestly, I don't really know. It just kind of happened. Like, my buddy Bean One is an amazing producer out of Seattle, and we were gonna sit down and like make a quick project together. And keyword quick. I wanted it to be quick. I wanted to just kind of like regurgitate shit. And he's classic era, amazing producer, dude. But you know, like lots of samples, shit like that. Shit that I've kind of been staying away from, for a while. And I found all those samples in that track, and I sent it to him, and I was like, all right, you should make a beat out of this. And then I didn't like hear back from him for like a day, so I was like, I'm gonna make a beat out of it. So I just made the beat, and like all of like it just happened like super quick, and it was just kind of like a stream of consciousness that happened. Like, I'd like to say that there was like a deeper, profound meaning to that song, but it was really just like I probably wrote the verses in like 20 minutes, and it just like out of my mouth. And I tracked it all on my iPhone in my closet, not the final version, but like just so I could catch like the swag of the verse, you know, because there's a deep swing to that sample, and there's no drums for half of it, and you know, I wanted to keep it the way that I was writing it, so I recorded it on my phone. And yeah.
That's crazy you mentioned that, like with like the flow of your voice, because I noticed that listening to that song, how overpowering just almost the way your voice sounds on it. Not in addition to the words, but the kind of the swagger, that feeling you bring to the track. It was kind of eye opening to me in some respects. I didn't expect that clicking on one of your songs in a way.
Yeah, I mean,
it really came out though.
We're doing something different this time around, and like my interest in like vocal techniques have changed a little bit, and like the way that I'm recording has changed, and you know, no one's doing doubles anymore like they used to back in the day. Like, they're not doing like the hype tracks and shit like that. So saturation has become such an important part. I feel like in vocal mixing, and I've been just saturating the fuck out of my vocals so they're big and present and like right there. Yeah, and they sound great on that song because it's very much what is going on there.
Mm-hmm. So one lyric I kind of wanted to point out, you mentioned it, is you're not hearing, you're not listening anymore, and it doesn't even matter or make a difference. What do you mean by that? I mean,
I was probably like, I wasn't probably. I go through the internet and I look at people, say, I don't give a fuck about hater. I don't give a fuck about what anybody said. I do me. And it's like, then why are you on the internet talking about this? Okay. Like, you clearly do care. Mm-hmm. And it makes you so fucking soft to me. Like, just make the music Like, you don't have to, like, do live streams and shit of, like, how much you don't give a fuck. You don't have to, like, you could just not do any of that. And you could just save everybody the time. And I found, like, a lot of, hey, we're in the middle of an interview.
I was just dropping off beer.
Oh, yeah, come in.
You can come in.
Yeah, come in. Perfect. You know, like, I guess it's kind of that don't talk about it, be about it mentality, you know? And it's just like the way that the verses were going and like just the vibe of the song, like it felt good. And moving forward, like I'm done listening to people. I'm just done. Like I want to do what I want to do for here on out. I'm done listening to the fans. I fucking love you guys, but you do not dictate what I make. You don't. And I spent a lot of my career letting some of y'all dictate how I sit down to create, because I'm like, well, if I don't write another On the Rocks, well, then you guys won't be happy. And I forgot that this was never about making you happy. This was always a me thing. I was just blessed to be able to have it brought out in front of people, and I watched it reinvent itself to other people. But the meanings and the values that it holds to you, that it has reinvented for the individual, they aren't always the same that they are for me. And I don't need to worry myself with that all the time. And every song that I've released, pretty much, you know, that was the focus in Running Wild. And moving forward, I'm holding that down. And I renegotiated my contract with Rhymesayers. Like, I'm on a whole new leaf, and I want to do what I want to do. And all these singles coming out are very much like separate from each other. They're all different vibes. They're all crazy. Like, the next one is gonna be like funny kind of style, and then the one after that is gonna be like something no one ever thought I would have done, and people are gonna complain that they missed the fucking blah bitty blah bitty blah, and then the next one is the blah bitty blah bitty blah that's gonna make them shut the fuck up. And I'm done listening. So
I think it's such a cool thing to hear that from you, though, because I don't know, last time I talked to you was back during the time of Running Wild, right before you released it. And were you in Netherlands when you were recording that?
I was in Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was one of those European countries.
Yeah.
There. And you mentioned to me how almost like not having like connection, you almost would just walk through the city without your phone or really anything going on. Like early.
No cell service, no shit.
And it was just like this crazy place of creative energy. And I'm still here, and I'm hearing that almost the growth over that in the past 2 years, that now you're making songs. It's like, I appreciate the interest of the fans.
100%. I love the fan. I love the fan wholeheartedly. I will take all the time you want to talk about whatever the fuck you want, but at the end of the day, you are not my boss.
Exactly. So I just wanted to comment and say I'm happy to see that kind of progress for you in the past two years or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it took a little bit of growing up too, and like also like I'm at the point now where it's like, if all this goes tits up, okay. You know, like, I'll figure something else out. Like, I've always wanted to, like, work more on the tech side of stuff, and I've had a really good run, and I've been super grateful of all the opportunities that I've had. It's definitely not heading in the direction of going tits up, but I will accept such fate if it had to happen. And from this time to that time, I want to make sure that I'm doing what I want. Because I'm not getting any younger, like, by any means, and I don't know how long I can tour. This shit kills me.
I mean, I can only imagine just seeing the dates. Like you mentioned, it's just a quick tour or something. It's like, that's still a lot. That's a lot of traveling in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, well, you become numb to it, and for me, like, I'm trying to figure out my life. I'm in my mid-30s. I just turned 35, like, last week, and I don't, like, I'm still running around like I'm 22 years old. Like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I don't know if living out of a tour bus is going to be that forever. I mean, it can't be. Yeah. It can't be. So, we'll see.
There's going to be a next evolution there for you.
Yeah, fuck, I'm thinking porn, dog. You know?
Really?
I'll run myself down. Grandma porn, you know?
Okay, we're really going to get subgenre here.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm specific.
I like that. So I also want to talk about the other track, I'll Be Better.
Yeah.
You made it with Jaga?
Jaga.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to pronounce his name right. What was it like working with them, and what was it like putting that track together?
What was interesting, I mean, full disclosure, I just got out of like a 7-year-long relationship, and it was that, like, that my song is at peace with that relationship. You know, we were together for so long, and things just became dull, you know, and I wanted to get married and have kids and, you know, grow and move forward, and, you know, she wanted to do her own thing, and it just didn't line up, and there was no anger or, like, it was like the most adult shit I've ever done in my life. Like, it made sense. For once, like, a breakup was like, oh no, yeah, this totally makes sense, we should just do this. She's still like one of my best friends in the world. I still have dinner with her family all the time. We share a dog, and there's no weirdness. Like, maybe every once in a while, like, it's just like, I don't want to talk about dating with her and shit like that. Yeah. But, like, you know, it's a thing. Like, it's the healthiest thing I've ever done in that world. And, you know, I bought a house. We were living together for 6 some years, and so we split, and I was saving to buy a house, to, you know, get married and buy a house, have a kid. Yeah. And so I took that money, I went and bought a house, and I spent all summer redoing it. And then the second the house was up, I, like, set up a little studio in the room, and then, like, that was the first thing I wrote, because I felt like I just had it inside me. Mm-hmm. And I wrote everything, made the beat, produced the whole thing, sang the hook at my house, like, not doing any final recordings at home because I haven't done any treatment in the room, so it sounds like you're recording in a room. Yeah. And I sent it to Pants, and I was like, yo, here's the first song. And first song meaning when we got asked to go on the Watsky tour, they're like, it would be great if you had new music coming out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I haven't really been working on anything because I've been working on the house. And they're like, well, you know, just, it would be cool if you did. And we're like, okay. And we had like a month and some change to get all, you know, we did like 9 songs or some shit like that. And so we just banged out all these songs, and that day alone I wrote 2 of the ones that are coming out. Okay. Wrote and produced 2 of the ones that are coming out. I'll Be Better and the one of the ones coming out. Okay. And so I sent it to Pants, and I was like, I definitely want to, like, build on the hook here. I want to build it. It's a little plain, and, like, my plain hooks are always, like, my best ones. Like, the simple, let's not get all Mariah Carey with it. Let's just be simple so that everyone can sing along. Because I'm not a great singer. By any fucking means of the word, I'm not a great singer. So easy is better because then I can always do it live. And he was at the time running a session with Jaga at the studio. I own a studio in Seattle, and Pants, he does film editing, so I rent the other part out to his company. Okay. And I let him free reign in the studio when I'm not there. And he was already in a session with Jaga, and he's like, well, Jaga's really good at melody, you know, building melodies and, like, simple shit. And I was like, no more than 4 stacks. Like, I want main and then 3. Yeah. And he's like, okay. And he just tracked it, and he was like, here, something like this. And I was like, yeah, we'll just use that. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, let's just hit a featuring Jaga on that, because that sounds fucking perfect. So we just kept the vocals. We just kept his demo vocals and ran it. It was great.
I mean, I could not tell that listening to the song. I mean, I love the track, and I think it's, you explain, like, the breaking up of that relationship. And it's like, you're right, there's no anger in that song, but it's this weird emotion. I was trying, you know, writing, I was trying to find the right word to describe it, and I almost couldn't. Yeah. It's that at peace feeling.
It's weird, like, I see a lot of people go, oh, this is what I really needed, and that's what I wanted the response to that song to be. Or I didn't know it until I saw it, you know? But, like, I feel like that's the perfect one. Like, that's what I needed. And people that are like, fucking sad boy bullshit, and it's like, yeah, well, I'm sorry nobody loves you, dog. Like, I'm sorry your life sucks so bad that you don't know what it's like to lose somebody that you care about, you know? And if you haven't experienced that, then this song doesn't mean anything to you. And if you have and it doesn't, then you're fucking lying to yourself. Exactly. But whatever. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. You know what you want, exactly. Yeah. I want to touch on the music video for it, because I thought watching it, I had just... There's a lot of questions I had from...
Yeah, it's a weird music video.
One of my first one is, can you just kind of describe the storyline of it a little bit? I was kind of confused.
So Jaga actually came up with the idea of, like, what we sent to the producer or to the director, And it got much weirder since then. But the idea was like, mental hospital, like, I can't get over you. And the original idea would be like, as soon as I get you off my mind, I'll be better, So the idea would be like, everybody kind of like droning around in like the gowns, and like you go to get your pill, you like line up by the little window and you get your pill, and it comes in the paper cup. And it's her. It's always the same girl, right? It's always the same girl. So you get the cup from her, you take the pill, and then you look back and it's like some old dude or some shit like that. You're sitting and you're playing chess in the white room with somebody, and a girl's hand moves the thing and you look up and it's her, and then you move and you look up and it's like an old lady that's like drooling or eating tapioca pudding or something like that. Yeah. But it would have been too expensive because you would have had to get all these extras, you would have had to get a legit like hospital. It just would have been hard, and we were on this time crunch because we only had a month and a half to write these songs and get them mixed and mastered and record video. Like, it just was a fucking melee.
Yeah.
And so we simplified it. We sent it out to this dude, Justin Frick, who is amazing and super creative, and I believe in everything that he does, especially now that I've worked with him. And he just kind of rewrote it in a way that he saw, and he's definitely a weirder person than that original idea. We kept it a little bit, but it's hard for me to explain because there's parts of it that I don't truly understand, because at this point it's a collaboration. It's also his vision of what he's seeing from the song. But like, at the beginning I'm in the relationship, I think is that when I'm in that room with all the toys and shit like that, and then getting condemned is like the healing process. And the birds...
that was the thing. I was looking. I was like, the birds.
Yo, this motherfucker had me go through an hour of falcon training, dog.
I was about to add something. I'm like, what was that like? Rapping over
Not tight.
Okay,
so I have a really fucked up shoulder, and that bird, the one that I'm holding, the one that I trained on was significantly lighter.
Okay.
It was like 4 pounds.
Yeah.
The one that I had was 10 pounds, and 10 pounds. But if you're holding your fucking arm out like this, and you put a 10-pound weight on it, and you hold that for 4 minutes or however long the song is, while you're not supposed to be moving and just staring at the camera, my arm was like going like this. And plus, at the same time, like, you can't, those fucking things are like apex predators, right? So you can't show dominance, but you can't show weakness. And it's like, that was like part of the training. And like, don't look it in the eye, and don't make any sudden moves. But you gotta wear this glove, and you got this leather rope that comes down through your hands and like around your thumb, and you're holding on to it because the bird will try to take off. Mm-hmm. And it's all fucking crazy when it does, because the wingspan on that thing is like what you would have.
Are you serious?
It's huge.
Jesus.
I mean, maybe to my forearm.
But still like several feet long.
Several feet long, and it's right in your face when it fucking goes. So now you got feathers in your face and fucking wings and this bird flapping trying to take off from your arm, and you can't let go. You gotta hold on to this motherfucker, and the glove only goes to like right here. So if it chokes up your arm and it puts those talons in, it's like a hot knife through butter. So at the whole time, you have to hold your arm like this, so that the angle, so if it starts going down, it'll want to perch up here. So you're holding this motherfucker like this. It just sucked. I couldn't get a whole take in. My arm was just shaking, and I was like, motherfucker, and the pain was just shooting through my chest. And I was like, nope, I can't do this.
I knew there was going to be an interesting story behind that, but that's pretty crazy.
Dude, and I did a music video once where we had to have a wolf trainer on set, because we had a wolf in the fucking video.
What's with you and animals?
None of those were my ideas. Yeah. I didn't ask to have this big-ass hawk in the video. I would have been fine without it, Justin, to be fair.
Well, I mean, I certainly thought it was pretty cool.
It was rad. It was definitely an experience.
I think the one thing I just kind of wanted to comment on, what I really took away from it was when I was watching it, there's almost this, in the beginning, there's a ton of color on the screen.
Yeah.
Throughout the middle, it just drones out to then at the end have the colorful leaves fall down again.
They're feathers. They're supposed to be to be that like parakeet or whatever the fuck that thing is.
Yeah.
Parrot.
And I thought that use of color throughout the video, I thought that was really interesting.
And the I think I'm supposed to be the hawk, and the lingering feeling of that relationship is supposed to be the parakeet.
Okay.
And when you see all those feathers falling down, it's supposed to be like closure.
Gotcha. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty accurate to me. So, you mentioned you had all these songs you made. Was it the word number you put at 9?
Yeah, we did 9.
Okay, so is this part of a project you have coming out?
No, I'm just putting songs out.
Okay, just single by single?
Single by single.
What?
I'll figure out what I want to do with them later. I have a call with Rhyme Sayers on Tuesday if I want to like bundle them up. But I kind of want the fans to decide maybe.
Okay.
Because I'll leave them as singles. We'll just put them out and we'll just call it whatever the fuck it is. Or we can add to it, bring it together as a thing, and tour it in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would like to do, but I think whatever we add to it, within reason, I would like for maybe to have like an interactive experience with that.
Okay.
And I don't know what that is. I'm just going to kind of open up the phones for that one and see what happens.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard of, there's some people I think of when I think of those interactive experience kind of things. The one I think about, I mean, this must have been really expensive, but Childish Gambino's, his vinyl, he had like a VR headset in that. I never bought it, but
No.
like it was some wild thing.
I don't mean that. I just mean that the fans get to decide kind of how it's going to go. Like what people like to do with their Kickstarters and shit like that, but not asking them for any money.
Okay.
Like,
just ask for ideas.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to do this like kind of collaborative thing via Twitch that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want y'all to bite me. But I could incorporate that idea in, or just kind of let people, take it to the polls and just see, what they want, what they would like to see. Because there's a dozen different ways I could package it and do it, or I don't know.
And with music nowadays, it's so... I see almost every week it feels like I see a different way that artists are approaching releasing music.
Yeah.
Rather than just that traditional album.
And I need to move away from that. I need to move away from the traditional album format because that's where it's going, and that's why I'm doing these singles. But everybody keeps asking like, "Ooh, is it going to be this?" So far, no. It's just songs, and I haven't thought about a record because none of them match a vibe. So the record would be crazy.
Okay.
It wouldn't have a vibe because it would just be. Eh.
I was about to ask that if there was a thread through them, but it's just kind of like a collection of different sounds and ideas you were working on.
They're collectively different.
Collectively different.
Like, and purposely different. Like, so every song is going to be a different emotion.
Okay.
Every single one on purpose, because I don't want to put out, 5 songs in 5 weeks. I don't want them all to be the same.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be the same vibe. I want them to be drastic vibes. So.
Well, certainly a lot to look up. A lot to look forward to there. So just kind of want to wrap this up by saying, you still have a couple, as of time we're filming this, was it like February 27th, I think it is, Wednesday?
Yep.
In Philadelphia. You still have still have some tour dates left.
Yep.
All these songs coming out. A lot of time left in 2019. Just how are you feeling about the rest of this year?
I feel good because I'm doing something new, and it's like I'm on a new tour, doing to new fans, releasing music just to fucking do it. Like, whole bunch of new shit happening in 2019 for me. I know it might not be new to other people, but like, I don't ever do shit like this. So it just feels good to be starting off on like just a completely different vibe, and I'm just gonna let it happen. I'm gonna let it coast. However fast or slow it wants to go, I'm down.
Yeah.
We'll just see how it goes.
Seem to be at a very not comfortable, but just very at peace with your career and everything right now.
Like I said, it could go tits up whenever it wants. I'm gonna do what I want until then.
You got porn when that happens.
Grandma porn for when it does happen.
Oh, certainly. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely, sir.
Again, a big thank you to Grieves for coming onto the podcast. Always really, really like talking with him. He's an awesome interview. To check out his latest music, visit the links down in the description for the tracks. Beethoven, I'll Be Better, all of that great stuff. Check out the video to I'll Be Better. Trust me, it is definitely worth the watch. You heard we talked about, hawks and crazy colors, feathers, all of that good stuff. And if he's going to a city near you, check him out on tour. I went to his show. He's one of the coolest performers to see live. He really keeps the energy in the crowd. Such a fun concert. I took my one friend who had never even heard of Grieves' music before, took him. He was a Grieves fan, just like that. Really, really fun show to go to. So if he's coming to a city near you on this tour or another one, definitely check him out. With that, that'll wrap it all up for this edition of the Anything Goes with Jackson Neill podcast. Remember, for episodes to this, episodes to my sports and music podcast, visit jacksonneillpodcasts.com. There's the hub for all of my episodes, everything I publish, so go over and check that out. Also, if you really love this content, if you're really enjoying all the podcasts I put out, then maybe you want to consider becoming a member to my podcast. In the different membership tiers, you can gain access to bonus content, exclusive Q&A sessions with me, early access to interviews, so you get this a couple or several days early, or even an interview with me. All of that great stuff is available. Check out my Patreon page. Links to that in the description, no matter what platform you are listening or watching this on. There you can see if you want to subscribe and become a member to the Jackson Neill podcast. Also down in the description are links to my Twitter and Instagram at JacksonNeill20. Post some cool content on there. I like to think so, at least. A little biased, I will admit. But go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JacksonNeill20 as well. And with that, that'll wrap this all up. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you all next time.